like a dream. This is like all the things you can fit inside a memory.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into a President's Day edition of the Flashback. I am Radio Hondo. Along with me, the Green MC. It's Nate Dogg. Nate, how are we today?
I am good, my friend. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. Just enjoying a 3-day weekend. We have the extended holiday with, of course, the honoring of the old men who we vote for.
Yes, it is. It's so nice to have a 3-day weekend, too.
Whatever the reason is.
I'll take any reason to have a 3-day weekend. Just that feeling you get on Friday when you're about to embark on whatever journeys may lie ahead. Oh, that is a good feeling.
Well, we've got a lot of journeys lying ahead for us. Basketball season, full swing. We had the All-Star weekend. We got, three-point contest. They had the dunk contest. A couple surprises in there in the dunk contest. We'll talk about that later. Also have some news out of the world of cycling, of course.
You know it's going to be a good show now.
Round and round. Okay. And then we have baseball, some developments happening in the off season. The weather outside, the 3-day weekend, it's March. Groundhog's Day just recently passed. We've got spring coming up around the corner. You know what that means. That means baseball. So off season moves. As far away as baseball seems to be, it's getting very, very close to that. I'm a huge baseball fan. I know you're kind of more on the basketball.
Definitely fall more on the basketball, football side. I enjoy baseball, don't get me wrong, but I definitely, if I have a preference, it's basketball, football.
Just never really picked back up on baseball after the Portland Mavericks left. Right?
That's exactly. I was heartbroken, and I haven't recovered quite since. So,
okay. Yeah. If you haven't guessed, folks, we are in the Northwest here. We will share some stories. I have an East Coast background, too, so I do like to bring some stuff up from the East Coast, whether it's Wise potato chips or very fine juice. Either way, we mix and infuse all sorts of things here at the Flashback. Be sure to check out our website. We're at Radio Hondo, one word. Just Google that. You'll find the site. Go on, comment, leave some takes. Leave some questions, whatever you have. We always try to respond quickly as well to our listeners out there. We really do appreciate everyone who will actually lend us an ear or two. Well, Dick Vitale, also in the news, too. We're going to get to some more of that. So that is college hoops. Interesting news with Dick Vitale. Don't know if you heard about it yet, but we're going to get to it. First up, though, of course, as always, headlines.
headlines. I do like me some headlines. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready. What do we have first, Nate?
First headline, Ron Darling to try play-by-play for the New York Mets.
Ron Darling, yeah. Are you familiar with Ron Darling?
I am. Yeah. Now, I know I said earlier I was not a huge baseball fan, but I did grow up a Los Angeles Dodger fan, and I will always remember Ron Darling. He pitched against Oral Hershiser in the 1988 National League Championship Series.
Yeah. Yeah, he had some great years, especially with the Mets. Phenomenal. I think, for the first years, he spent most of his time with New York and then had quite a few years with Oakland as well. Always a solid guy, but he's gotten into work. I think he was working at TBS when he started off. Anyhow, he's been here and there with some of the baseball analytics and analysis. Does a great job. I think he sounds really good. He knows what he's talking about. He's been in the game for so long.
Yeah, he has been around for a long time.
He was teammates with like Frank Viola.
Holy cow, there's a blast from the past.
There's an old Met for you.
Yeah, man. Keith Hernandez, I would imagine. Dwight Gooden. All those guys were on that same team, the 86 Mets.
Yeah, that 86 team was huge. He was a rookie. His rookie season was 83. And, yeah, you look at his numbers. I mean, 12-9, 16-6, 15-6, 12-8, 17-9. Very consistent guy.
Yeah, sounds like it.
3.87 ERA for his lifetime ERA. So really solid player, but now he's in the booth. He is doing a good job on the analytics and the color commentating and the analysis. Now he's going in a new role, play-by-play. Gary Cohen is the head play-by-play guy for the New York Mets now.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And as you know, anytime you take anything away from New York, they're going to start whining and complaining very quickly. Gary Cohen's very good. So what this is, Darling's actually going to do some play-by-play for the spring training, kind of warm up to it a little bit.
Get the feel for it,
Yeah,
sure.
Cohen's been in there for 10 seasons. I think he still has quite a few years ahead of him, obviously. So they kind of just want to get something groove for him. An opportunity came up, so he's taking advantage of it. But the reason why I kind of threw this into the headlines,
Yeah.
it doesn't seem
I was wondering why
it's
we were
not really
starting
a
off with
poppin'
that.
story. It's not really a poppin' story.
Ron Darling, play-by-play. All right, he must have a motive behind that.
Next.
Nope, that's all we got, folks. Well, thanks for tuning in.
It's President's Day weekend. Everybody's on vacation, so we're just creating stuff. I actually made this story up. It doesn't even exist. He's not even
There's
big up.
nobody named Ron Darling.
The thing is, whenever I'm listening to baseball, Ron Darling is the play-by-play guy. I can't help but think of James Woods.
James Woods, the actor?
James Woods, the actor.
James Woods appearances on Family Guy, James Woods?
James Wood appearances on
Digstown,
Family
James
Guy.
Woods.
Let me give you a soundbite of James Woods.
Okay.
It's funny, people ask me how long I've been playing poker. I say longer than these guys have been alive, plus 40. I just came from a card-playing family. You know, everybody in my family loves to play cards and games. You know, we're just...
Okay, so that's James Woods.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, now I'm going to play Ron Darling.
All right.
When I first met Wally, he had been in the big leagues and came down to AAA. So I saw how intense he was to get back up to the big leagues, and I never saw anyone in AAA play the way he had played. Most guys played were trying to get themselves better, but he was just on a mission to get back into the big leagues. And
Now James Woods again.
Everybody in my family is kind of, you know, pretty smart and well-read, and that kind of thing. And so we just liked those kinds of games always. And, you know, as a kid, I'd be playing, you know.
But you see what I'm saying?
That is uncanny. It is. It's like you're listening to James Woods.
My goodness. Yeah. So I listen to that. It's the same cadence. Woods is a little bit more, he's got a little bit more, not to sound disgusting, but
Dirty old man voice.
Saliva. You know what I mean? Like Ron Darling's a little drier in his you know.
He's got a drier mouth. I don't know if I've ever heard that attributed to somebody before, but it
How
actually
else
makes
would
sense.
you say it? How else would you say it?
James
Nate?
Wood garbles his words a little more, maybe. I don't know. You're right. He's got a wet mouth.
Yeah, I just find him more hydrated.
maybe he does a good job
Is
of
that the
staying
way to do
hydrated. That could be. He gets that expensive water that all those Hollywood actors drink. So,
But you know what? But you know what I mean. I mean,
Yeah,
Ron Darling,
yeah.
it sounds like he's got kind of more. But yeah, the cadence is good, and yeah, Ron Darling, he just sounds like he's got dry mouth. He's like a dry mouth James Woods.
that is absolutely uncanny. I don't know if I had ever heard them side by side before, but now I want to hear Ron Darling say, "Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy."
Ooh, strike one. Ooh, strike two. Ooh, strike three.
Ron Darling, if you're listening, make it happen.
Ooh, that's another run.
Ooh, base on balls.
All right, so that's what we got going for you on our first headline. Let's get to a real story though on headlines. This is we're breaking news here. What do we got next?
Headline number 2, the Chicago Little League team, Jackie Robinson West, has been disqualified.
Yeah, they're taking away. They're taking away the trophy.
That is,
I don't know if they get a trophy.
I would hope they would get trophies. That's a pretty big deal.
You should get a trophy.
You win the highest level of Little League, you should get a trophy.
The highest level of Little League.
Yeah, but man, what a story. This thing is just caught fire and will not die down either.
And it has a lot of, there's so many ways that people are running with this story.
Yeah, everybody who has a hidden agenda is kind of coming out of the woodwork and applying that agenda to it. When, overall, you have to feel for the kids. Your heart has got to go out to those poor kids.
I feel for the kids. Things have to be done. Corrections have to be made.
Sure.
Let's start from the beginning. The Chicago mayor, a side note here, actually, first. The Chicago mayor, Rahm Emanuel, he's still going to award rings to the team. So
interesting. Okay.
They're going to get some credit, and deservedly so for the work that they've done. Obviously, they put a lot into the season. And
yeah, the fact is they won the games. There's no dispute about that they won the game and that they won the game how do I say this? They won it fairly within the context of the game. There's no discrepancies of the actual gameplay, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, that's absolutely right. And then the Evergreen Little League, the guy who turned them in, the guy who not turned them in, but said, hey.
The whistleblower, essentially.
The whistleblower, yeah. You want to, the Anna Tarbell of this whole thing was Evergreen Little League Chris Janes. He inquired about the residency of some of these players.
Right.
Janes had to go through the gauntlet with the team as far as the Little League playoffs. So he was well aware of Jackie Robinson West. Had played against them. They actually lost to Jackie Robinson West.
Quite significantly, if I remember correctly. Wasn't it a pretty large margin? It
was a football score.
Was it really?
42-3.
Oh,
it's a blowout in a football game.
That's a football rout. Holy cow!
6 touchdowns to a field goal.
So, is there a little question over his motivation for turning them in? Then is that fair to say?
And you have to think that. And then also, Chicago. It's a town where higher minority populations, obviously, in major cities. There's there are a team, the Jackie Robinson West. Jesse Jackson is coming in to the aid of the folks saying, hey, is this a discrimination issue as well? As far as were they really cheating? Were they going beyond? Are other teams held to this? Somebody had brought up the idea to Little League saying, instead of taking away and stripping these kids of the pride, because first off, Little League shouldn't be on this large of a stage, and it just should not be exploited to this point.
Yeah, and you bring up a good point with exploitation in the sense that I believe, if I remember correctly, this Little League World Series got the highest ratings of any Little League World Series that has been in the past. So that's...
Well, there were a couple good storylines. You had the Naomi gal, or what's her name? Mona Davis? Mona something. Anyway, the little girl who was pitching.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Who's going to play for UConn someday, who was apparently going through all this recruiting stuff. She was at All-Star Weekend or something. I mean, she's getting a lot of stuff. She's been doing some traveling and everything. Take advantage now.
Sure.
Because once you get into college, then there's violations being had. But it's gotten so really disgusting, to be honest with you. This is Little League. This is about kids having fun.
Right.
And we're taking that away when parents are going outside the lines, recruiting kids.
To make a super team, essentially, is what all the hubbub is about. Is that they've recruited outside the borders of what was legally allowable and created a super team. But why wasn't this raised earlier too? They had to have known about that during the regular season, I would think. Why is this coming to light now? Would be my question.
They'd have to know about it during the regular season at some point. Sometimes, obviously, you don't think about where these kids are from. But according to Janes, once he started hearing stories about the players on the teams and the neighborhoods representing them, it kind of said to him, wait a minute, that neighborhood's way outside of their area.
I see. So in all the aftermath of everything that was going on, the fact that it was highlighted.
Because they're competing over, they have some territory that's, disputed.
Sure.
Obviously, here and there when anything is taking place. And who's to say that they're even really paying attention to those lines, too, as parents?
That's a good point.
But the bottom line is, for me, I heard a great suggestion. I thought it was a great suggestion. Somebody said to the Little League after they had their ruling to disqualify them, why let the kids suffer? Why instead don't you just suspend Jackie Robinson West Little League?
Oh, that's
from postseason competition, getting an all-star team in the next 3-5 years, whatever.
Right, because you're right. What they did on the field is not disputed. That they earned it on the field, and to take it away from them just feels, it just feels wrong. I'm all for following the rules and everything like that, but. Boy, I heard those poor kids got booed at a Chicago Blackhawks hockey game the other night.
That's not cool.
When adults are booing, when adults are booing little kids, that crosses the line. Like you said, hold the adults responsible. Absolutely, they did wrong. They broke the rules. Find a way to hold them responsible. Make it so they can't coach in Little League anymore. Make it to where, like you said, there's future ramifications. But to penalize these kids,
Let's screw up a memory.
Yeah, it really, boy, and what are you saying to them? What kind of message are you sending to them, too,
What
by doing
message
this?
are you saying to them, and what are you doing to them psychologically?
Right.
Honestly?
Yeah, the whole thing
Don't
is...
strive for anything great, because once you get there, you're just going to get knocked
People
down.
will be looking to tear you down. Yeah, it really is. It's a whole messy issue. There's no winners in this. That's the unfortunate part.
No, not a single winner at all. It's very sad to hear, and I just hope the kids do okay. Know that they are champions, like you said. They did it right on the field.
Yeah,
you can't take away what they did on the field. They did a great job, and Little League, obviously, all of these on. Professional sports is one thing. I'll criticize professional sports for not having their stuff in order all day long. But for these, the lower leagues and everything, it's hard to organize all that stuff.
Yeah.
Why do we have all this regulation? And again, why is this getting just exploited? And that's where it starts. The exploitation leads to things like this.
And that's exactly right. Is unfortunately, you're right. You just have to follow the dollars. And as I said before, when you realize that this Little League World Series was one of the highest rated, highest broadcast events, the money's there. There's some things that might get overlooked. There's some people that are willing to bend the rules to curry favor with. It creates a whole mess is what it does. And then, like you said, this is the logical outcome of this. And then the kids are the one that pay the price.
Price is right. Price is wrong.
As Bob Mark would say, the price is wrong.
Price is wrong. Okay, in another mess that seems to be getting worse and worse in terms of leagues and regulations, we've got one final headline. What do we have?
We do. Kevin Durant, of all people.
KD.
Frustrated with the media.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant. Seems like the golden child.
This came out of Oklahoman, the Oklahoman. Yeah, that's the newspaper.
Is that a real thing?
Apparently. Yeah, he was talking to a reporter. The reporter seems to be in line with Kevin Durant. What happened was he just got kind of overwhelmed a little bit with the amount of people, I think, during media day and media.
And this is during All-Star Weekend? Okay.
All-Star Weekend, yeah. He's obviously, over time, he's been one that media really likes. He's been a media darling in terms of accepting of awards, some of the speeches that he said, things like that. But he's getting into his NBA career. He's learning about how things really are out there. And unfortunately, kids who have great talent and may have been able to hold on to that naivety, being naive for so long, even if they were able to make it through college and still have a bit of it,
a shred
at all, it gets tossed out the window in the NBA.
I would imagine that cold slap of reality when you hear when you figure out what a cruel business that National Basketball Association can be.
So here's what set him off during the All-Star Weekend interview on Saturday. He was asked about the job security of the OKC coach, Scott Brooks.
And I know he's a big fan of his coach. He's defended him many times before, too. So
OKC is what? They're sitting at the number 10 right now?
I think they're currently the 10 spot, yeah.
So they're 9-10, kind of bumping noses with some people trying to get that final spot.
Sure.
Phoenix Suns kind of sliding a little bit, although they still have some talent looking to make trades. Whatever's going to happen out of that, we'll find out here the next coming weeks. But OKC, this is a situation where we knew going into the season you don't have Kevin Durant. We knew a couple weeks into the season they lost they lost Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook, sure, yeah.
So Russell Westbrook goes down, Kevin Durant. We knew that they wouldn't be making any type of impact or surge until they were healthy.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know how anybody could be possibly surprised where they're at this point, because they're exactly where most people predicted them at this point in the season.
Why are we talking about the job security of Scott Brooks, who has brought them to what? They've gone to the finals once. They went to the conference finals once or twice, or at least twice. They lost once, and they had to be there because they went
to the NBA finals. Sure.
So what are we talking about here?
I think
talking
it's
about a guy, and they're sitting at 10. They just came back from the injuries. they're starting their mojo.
Yeah, they're just starting to hit their stride, which, again, if you're following basketball, you should know that this is, they finally have their full squad in front of them.
Did you see the 41 points Westbrook just put up? Granted, it was an all-star game, and I could probably put up 39.
Olé, defense.
But I couldn't get that 41. Westbrook can get the 41.
Yeah, if you're surprised at the job that Scott is doing, you like I said, you haven't been paying attention. I think it's just some journalists out to make a name for themselves or to stir up trouble. And good. You know what? I'm glad Kevin Durant called them on it. That's good. I think he did a good thing, because especially coming from a guy like Kevin Durant, who is respected, who is, like we said before, kind of the golden child. He's
Still
always
calm
been,
demeanor.
yeah, very calm demeanor, always very respectful. Always gives good, well thought out answers. So coming from a guy like him, that actually means a lot. That you made him mad, and you know what? He deserved to lash out at you. You asked a stupid
angry.
question. You'll make Kevin Durant smash.
Did he turn Russian? Or something?
Yeah, kind of a Russian Hulk, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Durant smash.
It took strange direction. Okay.
It's Kevin Durant. Well, the guy can do no wrong.
So that's what triggered it, and his response to that was, quote, You guys really don't know expletive. To be honest, man, I'm only here talking to y'all because I have to.
Ooh.
Yeah, so really I don't care. Y'all not my friends. You're going to love us one day and hate us the next. That's part of it. So I just learn how to deal with y'all.
Wow, very pointed and not inaccurate. That was actually right on the money.
I say the same thing to my wife when she starts asking me questions during a game. If I'm watching a sports game.
You actually tell her she doesn't know expletive?
Yeah.
And
She'll
you're
come
only
up to
talking
me.
to her because you have to?
She'll come up to me. Do you know there's a sale at Kohl's? I'll be like, do you know there's an expletive game on?
Y'all not my friend. Y'all not my wife.
Y'all not my friend. Y'all not my wife. You don't know me.
You're going to love us one day and hate me the next.
Love me when the TV's off. Hate me when it's on. But no, seriously. The point I'm trying to make with that is, why is Scott Brooks even being brought up? Why are they asking questions about Scott Brooks in here? You have a question about the athlete. You have a question about the team, cohesiveness, whatever. That's fine. But asking about Scott Brooks, just out of the dark?
Well, especially because I don't believe he had any part in All-Star Weekend, to my recollection. He wasn't one of the coaches or anything like that, was he?
I'm not sure.
I don't think he was.
so.
I could be mistaken on that. But regardless, you're right. Time and a place, and All-Star Weekend, that's supposed to be fun. That's supposed to be the break from all the NBA monotony and all the drive to the final and everything like that. It's supposed to be the fun part for the players.
Yeah.
And you're asking these questions that aren't fun.
Yeah, and especially after you get a question like that has no basis,
And loaded, really. It was a loaded question.
Loaded question, absolutely. After a full day of being bombarded by questions.
Right.
And you're going to tell me that, you want to be a little kind of, ticked up. Maybe you didn't have a lunch. Hey, we all have tendencies to fly off the handle sometimes.
Sure.
I've been there. I don't know if you've been there.
Oh,
but
I've definitely been there, without a doubt.
I was just there right before the show.
That's why things are torn in the studio. I see now. Okay. This is starting to make more sense.
So I don't hold it against him at all. The bigger question for me, though, is when you look at this, when you look at the Marshawn Lynch and these media days, this ridiculousness, leagues like the NFL and the NBA, they need to do a better job of protecting their players.
Absolutely.
Yes, they are subject to have to talk to the media. It's part of it. The media raises issues. The media brings up stuff. The media brings popularity. Fans get more intrigued. The stories get out. You don't have box scores. You don't have fans. People, it's gonna recede. You don't have it on TV. But part of it, again, it's media hype. So they need to protect their product. They need to protect their players. And part of that, maybe getting to the point of saying, hey, these are the list of questions that you're not allowed to get into. You don't ask our players about their coaches. Coaches are off topic.
Boy, there definitely something needs to be done where you're right. You don't want to limit free speech or anything like that. But at the same time, the media has really, especially over the course of the last 10 to 15 years, has really taken a turn towards more of the paparazzi. The Entertainment Tonight, the National Enquirer. It's more about the scandal, more about the hype, like you were saying earlier, and less about the actual sporting questions, which is it's a shame.
That's the fact of the matter. It's paparazzi stuff. This is entertainment and this is sports. This is not news.
Right.
It's
right.
not news.
No, it isn't.
As much as I think I like to know that, hey.
News
I got
would
all
be,
this
hey, Scott
information
Brooks was let go, or Scott Brooks, they're looking at other coaches.
And
I
that's
mean,
barely news. That's just business.
Right.
I don't get a newsletter when the manager at McDonald's gets fired.
You're on the wrong email list then, because I get those all the time.
and your emails come in. Your email alert is ba 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 ba.
I'm loving it.
Ooh, must be another email.
Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, Big Mac.
But that's what I'm getting at, though, is that, maybe in the next collective bargaining agreement, they seriously need to take a look at this factor. If players aren't going to bring it up and say, hey, we understand that we have an obligation to talk to the media.
Yeah.
But we also, the media, as part of an outside source coming into a private company.
That's a good point.
They are also subject to say, or follow our rules.
Yeah.
And our rules may be, you don't ask about coaches. You're not allowed to ask about specific injuries. And, of course, lawyers have to get together and say, what are the lines there? You can ask about the cohesiveness of the team.
Sure.
But you can't say specifically, hey, you're a coach or Scott Brooks or firing or things that are not true that haven't come to light yet.
Well, as you've seen, as you brought up earlier with Marshawn Lynch, things have gotten so contentious where it's almost his non-answers become a story, which is so warped and bizarre that it's like, it's such a tough issue because half of me is it comes down on the side of, you know what, you're a paid professional, you're paid to answer these questions, but you are absolutely right. The media takes it too far and they need to be held accountable. They need to have a set of guidelines and that, you know what, this is a line you don't cross. You don't cross it. Otherwise, Russian Hulk comes out. You don't want to limit free speech, but...
In the meantime, let's take one more lesson. James Woods.
It's funny, people ask me how long I've been playing poker. I say longer than these guys have been alive.
Ron Darling.
When I first met Wally, he had been in the big leagues and came down to AAA. So I saw how intense he was to get back up to the big leagues, and I never saw anyone in AAA.
Wow. Mets are in for a fun season.
I'm going to tune in just to hear the James Woods sound-alike.
Yeah. Spring training attendance records are up 70% already. No. That's the next news headline we're going to find. All right. We're running out of time here in segment one. We have a lot more to get to, though. Of course, we've gotten through our headlines, but we've got All-Star Weekend. There was the dunk contest. There was the skills competition. There was the three-point, the highly anticipated. Also, Charles Barkley. Wow, Gnarls, man. He loves to open up. He loves to open up.
He does indeed.
We're going to talk about some of that a little bit later. And suit borders. Suit borders. Have you heard about suit borders?
No.
Yeah, it's a phenomenon.
I can't wait to learn all about it.
Something like it. All right. Suit borders coming up, as well as Who's Gliding, Who's Sliding, Top 25 College. So stick with us right here on the Flashback. It's Radio Hondo.